which it seems like it is, because we are headed over to Taco for the last time here in the group stage.
And we did see a little bit of a glimpse of that plane, and it's going to be fairly central with a little bit of a northern preference. Now, is this one going to be burning as it heads down? Probably not. It's 10% chances. Again, this is the third match here of the day.
You said 10% chance, but it's happened every time. Good thing this time around is those engines, well, they ain't on fire.
It has happened every time. The 2 times we've had it, so pretty incredible odds there. Is again, this plane path a little bit more to the north, but pretty much everyone should be able to drop where they want. As far as hot drops, I would actually be very surprised if we saw any at this point.
Terminal could be a play since it's very much underneath the plane path, but that's strictly due to distance to plane path, not so much as to who is going where.
Yeah.
And of course, with the southern side, somewhat like outside of reach, we are limiting some teams in their options on where to go. So maybe, just maybe, we'll see some commotion, but with the way teams are spreading out currently, it does not look like that's going to be the case.
Yep, and so 17 will be the ones to take terminal. No surprise there. Sonics usually do loot there, but they're actually going to opt for another drop entirely, and I like that. There's no reason. They've had 2 solid games now where they've been able to get a good amount of points. Obviously, getting second in that last one they've been able to salvage some of those rough ones. Even talking to them right before this game started, I was like, you know, you guys did pretty much what you could. They're like, yeah, we're not upset about it. It was a solid game. We got a good amount of points. They got some kills as well, so they're looking really good so far here in the last day of group stages.
Sure are. Cerberus spreading out down towards the west with Fishing Camp under control. We've seen 2 games go down, and then in that southwest area, oh, make that one go down there, but now up towards the north we go. And this one is going to be interesting. You have more access points than on the military transition on Erangel, but well, some of the bridges are broken, some of them are double-decker bridges, and and while some of them are easy enough to transition, some of them can also be horrendous. Because to me, Godspeed, one of the main differences between Erangel and Taco is, and especially when we talk river and bridge crossings, for the most part, the land around the water on Erangel, you'll have a tree there, you'll have a rock there, a small building, something that even if you kind of get caught off guard, as we see Fex hit a tree.
Put that there.
Who put that there? Damn you, developers! I can assure you that wasn't there yesterday. But no, even else, as things goes wrong, you will have somewhere to kind of hunker down to hide things out and hope that some sort of help will come your way. On Taco, that ain't it. I mean, there's no cover. You'll have a solid 50 meters of just barren wasteland on those ridge lines. So if things start going wrong on a river crossing, expect them to go exceptionally wrong.
Well, another thing to note there as well is the fact, oh, look at this. The total top 5 damage. Draft is actually just farming numbers right now with 3,000. Hamas coming in second with 2,900, and very close is Tycon.
Look at that and consider the fact that Falcons right now have 37 points compared to Cerberus' 75. They have double their points and are still trailing DraftKings. Goes to show what a hell of a performance he has had despite their current 18th place, which if we were to finish right now, they wouldn't even make winners bracket.
They wouldn't make winners bracket, but this again is something that we've seen a lot, especially from this roster, the Fumba roster, as well as in the past. They are incredibly annoying to play around because they will put the damage out on the field.
And also just to add to what I was saying, in that very brief desk moment we had earlier, you saw Best of Luck there in 4th.
Yes.
That is the new player on question mark. That is the new addition, the extra firepower that they have been needing for a while. Not that they weren't a good team before with Hobbits on the team, on the roster, but it was just as if while they could fight, they opted not to. Now, with Bestodash on the team, it's as if that mentality has changed. They don't do what we were talking about Korea yesterday, like, we'll shy away until we're absolutely forced to. Exactly. Now they go, wait, we have a chance to fight here? Let's go deal some damage, and well, that's exactly what they've been doing.
On top of that, I mean, if we're going to talk about a team, we also have to talk about, you know, Aduzi and Phil first. Right?
Oh, definitely.
Phil first has just been absolutely amazing. But also to kind of jump back to the point you were making about crossing the bridges, the other thing that's a massive difference from Erangel, aside from there being realistically no cover on either side, is the fact that that water is very shallow. It is not a deep cross at all. And so obviously, emergency pickups will be utilized, especially if a team does have to cross, because those bridges, as you said, the ones on the east side being completely blown out, very susceptible susceptible to being camped.
Yeah, so far we're not seeing a whole lot of bridge camping being put up, and quite a few teams have managed to make their way up on that northern side. Game BT, we heard an interview with them just before, and they are victors of the first game of the day, are going to group up and maneuver out. I mean, they're one of the teams at dead center right now, so curious to see what they're going to try and kind of vie for or prioritize, because right now they're just sat center. I wouldn't expect them to try and flex out too hard with the area of the map they're in, but we'll see what they end up doing.
Yeah, I imagine they're not going to do that as well. And something else that we didn't even really get to talk about with the circle and the north side of this is that even though we do see a lot of different elevations, it's very gradual. They're not sharp elevations. So teams can very much just push on the side of this, whether it's north, south, east, or west, and they can really just kind of impose their will on the other surrounding teams, especially because third partying on these hills, especially the one right south of Army Base, is very, it's very easy.
Sure, that's what we'll see now as everyone else gets their rotation game going. If we might see some commotion, or you can see Cerberus are surely taking their time across it. And I feel like Falcons might be starting to figure that out. They were pretty much just steamrolling straight towards the bridge, but now a few donuts are waiting a little bit up here and there just to make sure that everyone's on the same page before they start transitioning. But as for right now, no commotion just yet.
You are seeing a lot of these teams, Toby, opt to rotate as early as they can across these visions. As you said, it becomes quite difficult later in the game, especially when you have teams already established on the other side. And then MG3 for EJ. Again, we haven't really seen that gun be able to pop off because most of the members that were able to actually pick it up haven't really been alive long enough. But that thing up close, especially when you ramp up the RPMs, the 900s, it's devastating up close. It's actually so fun to use.
Sure is. Can Xiaobei make this jump like his teammates just did? I would assume so too. It's not too difficult. I kind of feel like there should have been a loop or like a corkscrew or something there just to make it even more spicy. It's too simple. Just everyone can do that. They add a little more difficulty to it. I like the idea and the cinematic effect it has, but make it a little more tricky.
I feel like you just want something like some of the jumps we see on Miramar.
Yeah,
that's fair actually.
Yeah. The thing is, they never use the jumps on Miramar, so here force them to.
Why not? As we now see Cerberus here rotating in there towards the center, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, just to the west. They're actually all the way in between this wide split from E-Arena.
Exactly. E-Arena has thought to themselves, I think, if we just set out towards the west, if we just set up shop here, we'll be fine. Issue is Cerberus are now right in the middle of what could become an E-Arena storm. So we'll see how they respond to it. Mizzy already leaving, saying, you know what, I'm not going to sit with 4 players driving straight towards me, because there's quite a bit of distance between the E-Arena players, but seems like they're not going to do more than allow them through. And, well, Cerberus is going to say thank you.
And something else, actually, I just realized we didn't even talk about, Toby, is that if this does end up going Godok, right, that is a massive city in the center of this, and it is separated essentially in 3 different blocks. And so fighting in cities, especially in Tego, can be very difficult to navigate because of all the angles and even just getting the ability to access the roofs of these buildings.
For the most part, the cities on Tego are drastically smaller than the ones on Erangel and Miramar, but the outlier, of course, is Godok, by far the biggest of its kind on Tego. So we'll see if we do end up going in there. We haven't really had like super city endings outside. We were kind of on the edge of Cruz. We were kind of on the edge of El Azahar. If we just full speed send it right in the middle of Godok, that would bring all kinds of chaos with it.
I would actually really love to see this go Godok, just to see how these teams would play in there.
But would the players like it?
You know, as a former player, I'm not a player anymore, so I don't really care.
We don't have to care. That's the answer to that question. We're not playing. That's not our problem. We'll put them through hell and back and see how they make it. And, you know, honestly, for the most part, that is what these sort of tournaments is. The amount of pressure. I mean, let alone, one thing is the circles and how the games themselves play out, but the mental pressure that is on these guys, because they know there's a chance of these sort of things happening. But now, let's take our eyes towards DDT, towards Sonics. The first potential fight of the game, but a few shots fired, a few shots missed, and that's going to be DD team getting to live with the scare.
And this is actually one of the few elevations, one of the few hills that has quite a bit of cover on it, right? You see all those rocks and trees ahead of the Sonics as Mime is looking here to his north and his south. So one of the few areas where fighting in the forest is actually fairly comfortable, I'd say.
It's pretty interesting. Now, we do still have FaZe who has to make their way towards or across to the island. You're seeing 17 bridge camp now, and I wouldn't call it the bridge camp when it's just Belmont set there. But when have we ever had a Erangel melee game where everyone got to the like to
the
military
islands.
without no casualties. One thing is no team wipes, but there's literally not been a single casualty yet. So even though these circles are new areas of the map that we're exploring together, especially at a global stage, somehow they've all managed to cross.
Which is actually a detriment in the next
It's pretty
shift,
impressive.
because, but look, think about it, 64 players in the next circle is not going to be comfortable at all.
Let's put it this way, chaos always comes around. At some point, at least 60 players has to die, and the more you prolong that, the harder the chaos is going to hit.
Well, again, especially with this area of the map. Oh, and we're going straight to the area I was talking about, Toby. I love watching fights to the north side here, just below Army Base, and it's going to be friendly fire, actually, the beneficiaries of this circle, as Puchu's taking some shots and FaZe dangerously skirting by.
Yeah, he shot early as well. I mean, Belmoth and Flash are nowhere near. He does have Norrens up the hillside, but luckily for Gustav and everyone with him on their fantasy team, they're able to get out of there safely. Not safe yet, though, as they're right next to him. Look at the pile of teams that are currently making their way. Now, just look at the minimap. Everyone is on rotation, trying to get inside of this next circle.
And I actually love this. FaZe is like, you know what? This is way too much movement, way too many teams rotating. Let's just slow it down and take our time. Now, they are going to have to deal with the team of Daytrade above them, but, I mean, that's way better than going in this craziness of these rotations.
Definitely. DD team, question mark, 2 teams to say, you know what, screw this, we're just wrapping all the way around. Falcons have yet to even make their move, probably expecting there to be more people coming, but these are the teams that committed, that went for the full-on race and wanted to see it through to the end. 4am lost 1 to third on 5 just before, but now the rest of them are here ready to fight, but they're fighting a whole other team in Salvin.
Boingman there, Xiaopian getting a kill there onto CC. And again, the chaos in these rotations is just absolutely wild. We really don't see this on other maps like this either, is if you look at the map or the mini-map, there's just so many tracers coming from every which direction, and Taku cannot find the member there of Sarvum.
Nice attempt, good spray coming through with initial damage, but Baron gets to stay alive. And already now, I mean, this is like, with how close players are together right now, this is like Stolper ending phase 4, phase 5. We're in phase 2. There's so much space still to play, but everyone has seemingly committed, or at least tried to commit center. Now, because there's so many players there, they just won't be able to untangle that mess.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I don't even, I will say, I've competed for quite a while. I was never in a situation like this where this many teams were this close to each other.
Yeah. It's completely insane.
It's madness now, as we see Tycon finding a kill here. That's 2 members now of Game PT going down.
Up towards Army Base, the entire south and like east and southeast side completely free. But of course, it's easy to say that when we have the info of exactly where everyone is. And I think now players are starting to realize, wait, how am I getting shotted from literally all angles?
Friendly Fire now hearing this, starting to make a little bit of approach. It does look like, we're actually back now. Falcon, what happened?
What? He just flipped his vehicle out in the open. Silson would have wanted to be by the buildings by now, but not quite the case. Xiaowu is downed, but they might just be able to reset. They might just be able to get back and rest him. MX has made his way inside the compound. Little Ghost is nearby, but not there just yet. I think MX will be able to take him down. Indeed, he will. Xiaowu down.
So a nice little crash here, not necessarily the way Silson wanted it, but at the very least, Falcons have survived. They are in the compound now, taking the fight here to 17.
They're blind. They're completely blind. They're completely blind. He didn't see him. The flash came through, tried to get up the stairs. They were both blind for seconds. And Kapitan was like, wait, there's an enemy right next to me.
This isn't Silson.
This isn't my teammate.
And so 2 members already down here for 17, and a very nice start on the south side. The beautiful thing as well, as DraftKings is coming in, Team Falcons can take their time.
Falcons really want to come out here for because look at the amount of space they're going to have, especially with this circle going where it just did. If they can clean up 17 and then creep their way in from the south, they're going to be looking very, very good. Baron Peak finally falls. That's Global Army. The solo player left alive now for Sarvim. We'll try and make something happen, but against an entire team of 4 angry men, it's not going to be easy. Crazy around the corner is flashed. We'll see if there's a peek coming over the top to help. Good thing HSMM is there, because if not, it could have been ugly.
Xiaobi now going down. Just 1 member left of 17. Falcons have been very systematic in the way that they have cleared this out, and beautiful play coming from them. Just down to Little Ghost, but I wouldn't count him out. I mean, if he can get some isolated 1v1s, he can very easily turn this into a 1v2 even.
Sure could. Which is why Falcons are not going anywhere without backup. I love to see that. I mean, we can see even the nades being thrown through here. They don't know exactly where to expect opponents. So do not take any unnecessary risks. As I do say that, Capitan just full on Assassin's Creed style jumps across from one roof to another like parkour master. We'll see now though as they come on in, 3 guys in a building. This should be Falcons wiping out 17 Gaming, and to imagine 17 looked so good in that previous one, now they might fall in 14th.
And he has a shotgun available to him, so if he does hear them, he might just pull that bad boy out. Even a pump, very devastating at this range, can go very easily into a double kill situation here as we're looking at this other picture-in-picture. It's going to be E-Arena fighting with Sonics, and they're trying to get that res on a Mime, as they might actually just say, you know what, we've done the damage.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not worth it. Oh, but nope. They're going to turn around. DraftKings now going to stop in that vehicle. Yep.
Well, now they know at least exactly where they have to imagine they turn around. Indeed, they do. Capitan up over the roof, finds the double. That is Falcons taking out the entirety of 17 Gaming. Great start for them because it's been quiet. But here they are, 4 kills in and no casualties.
So now a nice little reset here coming out from Sonics, as well as they are still engaged with E-Arena. 4-on-4 straight up here is... These can be somewhat difficult to push in as well. There's some pretty awkward angles to go for in these Tego warehouses, I'll say, especially with all these vehicles inside. And they're also getting shot from a distance, but Strimzy going to pop in, and he's going to find Lyrics.
Full-on push through, 3 people into the building. They get the first one down. More still yet to be found. It's E-Arena who's playing on the defensive here, but somehow seemingly not able to really group up in a way that they can trade for one another. And when you then have Sonics just full speed send it in, it's very, very hard to do anything about it. And finally now, E-Arena able to some extent grow up with Smithy and Necessity sat together. They are on the very far western edge here, but we've seen them do this before. They just don't want to move if they don't have to.
Exactly, but the thing that I'm also looking at is Gen G is very much interested in what's happening in this fight as well. As we now go to this next shift, Gen G is again monitoring this fight between Sonics. They are getting in vehicles ready to leave, and fortunately they don't have to go too far, but they're still not in. And Gen G will be gatekeeping that west side.
Look at the split of teams in this circle. We have 13 teams up. There's 3 of them on the left side. The remaining 10 are sat either east of or on the eastern side of this circle. The spread of teams here is absolutely insane. So especially if this fight comes to a close anytime soon between Sonics and E-Arena, that's 2 teams on the left side, still 10 on the other. Would be horrible if not at least 1 or 2 teams tried to wrap around here.
I'm telling you right now, Toby, there's not enough space in even the current circle.
Oh, no, not at all. By no means.
So we are going to lose quite a few players here, especially as it starts to close, especially when you have teams like Gen G gatekeeping the west, when you have a team like Thereton 5 looking at the south. Even Friendly Fire on the east side of this is going to be fighting at least multiple teams, if not Dynamo, but also Day Trade and potentially even Question Mark if they don't want to really go towards the north fighting DD team.
I like the way that E-Arena plays this one. It's very defensive, but they heard the shots from Gen G up above. Every single time Sonics transitions from one building to another, or anytime they, reveal themselves to the hill, that is a potential knock coming through from Gen G that could help them out. E-Arena knows they're outnumbered, might as well play with the help of Gen G and just wait for Sonics to come to them.
The problem with that, though, is you can never count on another team to do what you need done.
Well, obviously.
So, and I do hope that they're not too passive, as we have kind of seen that somewhat from E-Arena from time to time. They have been getting quite involved, though, in some of these fights. Fairly impressive, but now it's going to be Sonics here going as a full 3, clearing building by building. Tig will find Mighty, and Zizzy up on the top, but the nade is aware!
They don't know that Cam is here. They have not seen him. You see H-Win around the corner now, spotted instantly, nothing that can be done to survive. I'm sorry about that for him. Didn't expect that to be one lurking out behind the pile outside the compound.
So they will lose 1 and they will lose Twin, but at least keeping 3 up with a fairly clean wipe. That is a good fight there for Sonics.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I mean, even if it's in a situation where they really, I don't want to say shouldn't have lost him, but would really have, like, it was looking very, very clean. That's an unlucky way to lose a player, but you saw how fast Gen G was to try and get down and respond. So good thing for Sonics is that no more casualties came through, because then I think Gen G would have committed more to try and deal with them. The thing is, Gen G is spread in a wide 2-1-1 split, and EJ is currently a solo player trying to hold on to a compound that has the entirety of DD team looking at it. So I'm a little worried for Gen G. If they try and maintain this split for much longer, they might just lose what they currently have, which is really good real estate.
Yeah, I think DG is trying to gatekeep as much as he can for EJ on the north side. Looking at DD team as what happened to Mime?
I think it might have fallen off a vehicle. It's inside the compound. Did a vehicle just fly in the air?
I don't know. We actually don't. Yeah, that's
I'm not
kind
sure
of
what just
awkward. So
happened.
now Sonic's
I hope
down
we
to
get a
just
replay.
2. Maybe maybe he just jumped out of the vehicle because he was getting shot by
I'm not sure.
Who knows? But yeah, this circle, this is nothing but open terrain, and there actually isn't as much cover here on this side of the hill as we saw earlier.
You can see this is exactly where Sonics are moving in. There are trees definitely, but they're more sparse. I always like to think of Takeo as a perfect hybrid of Miramar and Erangel.
Yes.
So you got a stall ending, but it's a little more open. So you got to bring those vehicles up for cover. Think of it as Potato Mountain, essentially.
Potato Mountain with many dips and not as many trees.
Exactly. Exactly. You can see the fights now on the eastern side starting to pop off. We have 5 teams out there trying to fight their way on in. Danawa, Daytrade, Friendly Fire, and FaZe are all trying to maneuver their way on in. Sonics just like that. Out they go. Daytrade eliminated as well as now Danawa and FaZe starts to fight too.
FaZe now stuck in the blue, still taking their time. Many crates. I'm curious if they were at least the recipients of some 3 vests or helms. As now Danawa trying to recover. Iononic sold down, but they still have to deal with Friendly Fire. Luckily for them, the fight has been reset.
Yep. As reset as can be, with Snake still lurking and Falcons trying to maneuver their way on up. Corexi gets one through the smoke, 1 HP left, and there he goes. FaZe out in 10th.
So what does Danawa want to do here? I mean, clearly they would love to clear out the team in the north and start spreading out there, maybe wrapping, but it's difficult there. Actually, it's not. Friendly Fire has backed off, and now they have complete control of the East. So this could be a huge game for Danawa if they just take their time.
They had 2 kills on Friendly Fire. They knew they weren't going to over-aggress. Now it's just time to reset, get healed up, try to assess the situation, and start looking inward. They're blessed with this circle shift coming their way, which also means that Friendly Fire didn't have to commit to the fight. So now sit around, let the other teams do the fighting, at least just for a little while you can get your health back.
They just need a break because, yeah, they've pretty much been fighting at the east side this entire time. As we also now see Falcons here make their approach on the south side. 4AM is going to be sandwiched, so it's going to be interesting to see if they fight first, whether that third party does come in or not.
Cerberus have just said, you know what, we're just going to claim the entire center. And in this area of the map, I feel like that is a very, very ballsy thing to do.
Very, that's a good term.
There are only so many spots you can stay hidden from. There are definitely some dips where you won't be seen, but they're going to have to play with their heads and swivels here because it's going to be a 360 defense mode for them if they're planning on sitting literally here in the dead center for the rest of this game.
And Gen G have actually done a good job here of kind of hurting DD Team away from their position, as we now see a member of 4AM and Crazy falling to him as Cerberus. So, I mean, this is a confidence play, though, if I've ever seen it. You know what? Take center position. We know that we're going to be open on multiple angles. Let's just take the fights to the teams we know we can at least kind of pick apart and then kind of regroup where they can. Because as you said, as you can see, it is very open in the center of the circle.
Exactly. Let's see who gets the better of this next shift. Everything that is west of Haisagi, for those of you guys who don't know, is downhill towards Gen G. And the same thing over towards the east towards Danawa. So we're going to play on that downhill slant towards the western side of the map, which means that Danawa, Friendly Fire, Question Mark, and Falcons will have to fight uphill to get to where Haisaki currently is, and that means also they have no idea of what's happening west of the current center of the circle.
Exactly, and in the middle of that, the duo of 4AM getting sandwiched by all of those teams.
I was just going to say, they're probably proning, and they are.
And, I mean, that's really the only play they have is we see Zhao Pian prone as well as HS, and now shots coming out from Falcons. They are starting to come alive. They know that they need to clear out all the teams on this edge if they want to comfortably be able to push into Cerberus, but 4AM gonna fall and still isn't going down.
Not a whole lot more they could do. Whenever they lost Crazy, that was their the extra angle, the extra defender in that position, and with him down, nothing more they could really get done. Pathampong gets to live with his eyebrows burned off, I think, as he dodged that nade. Tio throws one forward, but again, I mean, for Gen G as well, they're fighting uphill. They can only see about 20 meters forward. It's very limited what they can work with, but look at this, MX making the MK ring as he finds the double. Does he get the last as well? As Anonix now down to half HP. Does that nade connect? Not needed, because there comes Capitan over the hill. Great clean out from Falcons.
Beautiful hold. They've already cleared out 17, and now they're going to clear out Dadawa as well. Starting to take control a little bit here of the Southeast. Is realistically now it's just Cerberus they have to deal with in the duo of friendly fire, which I imagine will be already seen by Cerberus. Gen G really taking control of the west side now.
This is such a tough area to fight around. It's, again, very similar to west of Plane Crash or in and around Potato. The issue is these players don't know the angles the same way. They have them completely muscle memorized on Erangel and on Miramar. So here, whenever you peek an angle, you just don't know yet where you're going to be vulnerable from to the same extent, which is why we're seeing so many players right now getting shot in the back because they're looking the other way, not knowing what to be nervous about or what to expect from the opposing teams around them.
Even if you're familiar with the area, there's just so many intricate little dips, or even bushes, right? Those bushes can be very deadly. You can almost stand in those and be somewhat hidden. So a lot of these teams, as you said, have to be careful because there is an element of unfamiliarity.
Now, this fight might take place far on the eastern side of the map, but this fight is the fight for high ground.
Yes.
Whoever comes out on top between Cerberus and Falcons here will get to claim this eastern side of the circle and will have perfect overwatch of what's happening towards the west. So this fight could potentially even decide the winner of this match.
Yeah, the confidence building here from Cerberus, the ability to hold the center of this circle and continue to put down damage to multiple teams, as well as helping teams like Danama earlier, has just been amazing. And they're going to find another member here. Tycon finds Capitan, and they are just extending their control here on the east side.
I mean, we were discussing with the massive lead that Cerberus had coming into today, whether they're going to slow down a bit, whether they're going to try out new things. Nope. Nah, they continue exactly how they played on day one to try and see what they could do. But now with this fight commencing, Therodon 5 has opted to aggress on it. You know what? I don't fault them for this attempt or this idea. Go up, do damage over the top, peeking with 1 HP, rush it, maybe not the play, but they have them exactly where they want them, and they deal with Falcons. Therodon 5 is a super passive team, but now they're proactive. The issue is, now they're running into Tycon.
But Cerberus, of course, is going to know that that fight has just broken out, and with Falcons down, they're going to put full force here to try to get rid of Therodon 5 as Nate's coming in, and it's going to find them. Hatsuan will go down, Thanadol will be flushed, and 10 kills on the side of Cerberus as they continue to hunt forward.
And there's no one there to respond because Ross had heard the pressure coming through from Gen G, so he had to prone down in response. They will be able to get the rest on him. No, actually scratch that, 2 players down. Hatsuan will fall. There's nothing that his teammate can do to get him back up alive. That's one semi-final done for the chicken dinner. Now we go over to the other. Question Mark versus Gen G.
But on the other side, as you said, Gen G have actually taken complete control of the center of this circle as Duckmai is going to finish off that kill on Hatsuan. And now, question mark, though, on the north. They've been fairly quiet. They've been actually good on them, kind of avoiding all of the chaos.
And that is Gen G in a nutshell. If we can avoid a fight but still get into a better position, we're going to do that. 3 kills so far for PO, 4 in the team as a whole. They haven't had to fight, therefore they haven't taken a fight. They will pressure, they will try and see if they can get picks here and there, but they're never going to over-aggress until they have to, which is now. 4 alive still, great utility, should have decent vests as well. They know they have to take this fight against Question Mark in order to come out victorious, and therefore they will do it. But as you can see here, they're going to fall back. They're going to allow for other teams to try and interfere with Question Mark as much as they possibly can. It's only when they have their backs all the way up against the wall that they will strike.
But this is such an awkward area still. As you said, that unfamiliarity absolutely coming into play because there's so many different little dips and ridges that we've seen actually Pio and other members of Gen G proning in. So Question Mark, rightfully so, being very cautious in their approach and not getting overzealous. So now if this was Miramar, if this was Erangel, they probably would have poured over and just went for those angles. But you can't do that here, especially with how kind of awkward this terrain really is.
I'm not gonna lie, as awkward as and as unfamiliar as it is, I love this area.
I love it too. That's why I was so excited when I saw the circle
up to 6 kills, 952 damage. Pretty much guaranteed to be breaking in to the 1,000 point club by the end of this game, unless of course if it goes down right here, right now. But Question Mark, they've slowed down, but they've gained space. Gen G has backed off, but with the downfall of Therodon 5, they know that the pressure on that southeast side is that much less. And now, with the circle going dead center, this one could go either way, but for Cerberus, they won the high ground.
Yeah, and this is, at this point, 4 up for Gen G, and then you have a 4v3v3 there on the side of Cerberus and Question Mark. And Question Mark have not really been doing too much fighting. I imagine they have some utility still left over. As we now look at the side of Gen G, and there's 0 utility on PO and only 51 rounds left in reserve for that.
Nobody here wants to get third party, but I feel like it's on Gen G right now to pick a fight. The issue is now Question Mark is realizing, wait, they're sat right up here, both of us. We can wait this one out at least for a little while, because that hillside will be out eventually. Problem for Question Mark is they only have that rock to play.
Yeah, and Cerberus, they're wisely putting up that shield, the deployable shield. PO just barely missing that shot. As Gen G just have they're very much entrenched in a difficult position to get them out.
Question Mark is trying to get best of luck inside the circle, but Dogma is here playing, and Spoiler as well, trying to defend, trying to prevent that from happening. You see, they just sat there waiting. Best of luck. If you can't get to us, at least do as much damage as you can. Cause some commotion, force them to look the other way so that we can make a play off of your heroic effort up there towards the north. Damage comes through, but not as much as you would have wanted. And look now, the blue zone damage connecting. He's gonna have to make a run for it, and he will fall.
Duckby just being an absolutely devastating anchor there, watching the north side there against Question Mark for Cerberus. As Gen G still very quiet, as you said, they are not going to make a play on this. They're absolutely forced to.
They've crept up, but they creep straight into Tygon, who's already at 6 kills, 1,052 damage. As now Gen G, they say we have to commit to something eventually. It's going to be Cerberus, and it's going to be now.
Tycon just doing his best to try to defend as much as possible. It's going to be a Groza versus Groza on the side of PU as well. And look at this, ring around the Rosie on the rock. What? But Phil first will find him with the flash.
Why is Gen G fighting on 2 fronts here? PO stayed behind. I thought for sure they were going to just fully commit to the fight on the other side, but not quite the case. Now Gen G getting torn apart from both sides. As Cerberus, Tygon in particular, making the Groza ring. They were 4 up, now they're down to 1, and DG98 is all that's left to play.
And it is a 2-on-1-on-1, and just, they might even make it a 3-on-1-on-1 as Haisaki is going.
Is he denying?
I don't know.
No
He's going
way.
on the outside. What? That was way too late, though. 15 kills now on the side of Cerberus, and they should be able to get Duckmy up. That was a big mistake from Gen G. Massive mistake.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, they again, indecisiveness. They wanted to hold back, they held back, but they held back too long.
That was...
I mean, that one in particular was not the best, but just the whole decision-making and trying to defend off of both fronts, but then when it seemed like half the team was going to commit to one fight, the other went back.
I think that was a communication error, yeah.
Definitely. Good thing for Cerberus is that they got the reset now with the numbers advantage here as well. Question Mark down to just 2. A Doozy Phil first 2 kills on the team. Cerberus are coming into this fight hot at 16 kills already.
Not only that, they have the man advantage, as you said, but they also have the gear. Groza still on the side of Tycon, 16 kills, 8 of which gone his way, and now it's just down to this. They are starting to finally close on the position of Question Mark. They know exactly where they are.
Yep, Tycon is on the wrap with every tree. Here he's just going to move further forward. And Doozy though does find one instantly. Tycon though finds him in return. Filfers just picked up a Groza and an MK14. So if there's a chance for them to win, the utility that he just acquired for himself, a weaponry, could just be it. Dogmy alongside his teammate are running around together, trying to get around the side. Haisaki falls instantly.
This is actually very dangerous. One nice little isolation, and all of a sudden this turns into a one-on-one. And Phil first will find it. Question Mark pulls it out of the fire with Phil first. What a clutch.
What a hero performance. Thank you, PO, for the weaponry. I will take that any day of the week. No jumping around, a casual yell out to the crowd, but that's it. These guys know there's more to work for, and you can see for Cerberus, they really wanted to bring that one home. But regardless of win or not, what a hell of a game from Cerberus.
For Cerberus. Get out of here. 16 kills, 17 kills. What an absolutely disgusting performance. We talked about it early in that as well. The fact that they were willing to take the center of the circle. They were willing to take those fights, and they are playing like world beaters right now.
We called it risky. We called it dangerous. Say, nah, we got this under control. Question Mark on the other side, they did exactly what Question Mark does best. Play it passive. They were one of the 2 teams to wrap around that northern side. Played it slow in from the top, but now let's hop back to the desk and let them get this one through.